president of USA can be attempted a murder like, and there can be a bullet injury. Okay. Now, for a determined fraudster, any insurance claim can be created, mocked, morphed, or any kind of activity can be done. This is my experience. For a person who is determined to make fool of insurance company, the insuring public, committing a financial crime, it's a financial crime. Fraud is a financial crime. Will try to do it. No, it is a collective job of various agencies. Insurers at their end, when they see the file, they can identify, they can smell, they can sense. Okay. हमारा भी एक job है. So it's a surveyor's perspective or law suggestor's perspective. I'm going to start with the session plan. General overview, what the press said about this and what is the law. Next point is fire engineering policy narration. What these two policies are saying about fraud. We need to understand what are sometimes I sense the fraud, but I do not know how to cover up that situation, how to address to that situation. Very briefly, I'll narrate about those clauses. Then what are the principles? What is the policy text on fraud and similar situations? Occurrence of frauds, types of frauds, fraud indicator, red flags. Red flag for a surveyor. Even it may be for insurers also. Red flag for a surveyor. I think I have tried consolidating. I'm not saying this is ultimate. This is first attempt sharing this with colleagues. Okay, you will keep on pouring a lot of information, and that way we will be able to improve this. Then what are the practical aspects of fraud investigation? Case studies. I'm going to take 6 case studies. It will be text only. I'll be discussing. There's a lot of background noise. I think we have to.
I'm muting, sir.
Okay, fine. Then there will be case studies. In fact, I prepared 7, but the seventh one is yet to be decided. Okay, it is underway. I have yet to submit a report, so I'm not going to discuss. And others also, I have tried masking many things. Please do not mention the name anywhere, because it will vitiate the my confidentiality relationship with the insurers. It is only for understanding purpose, not to demean anyone. Now, fraudster, phishing in insurance claim. We all know phishing. Our mobile, our bank accounts are hacked. So for what fraudster is doing, they are trying to extract some money out of an insurance claim. Now, this is a position, which I picked up from press. Profit after tax divided by number of employees is profit per employees. There are many insurers. You will see profit per employee is highest for one insurance company, that is 25.4 lakhs. Say Shriram, Cholamandalam, and it's reducing until last there is one insurer, public sector. Okay. So, the insurers who are very sensitive to the frauds are earning more money. That is what it seems. But that may not be the only reason. Let us come to during Corona period. There was a study published. I'm not saying for other, it is universally applicable. These are the percentages of frauds. Okay, Delhi is on number 1. Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan. We are on. I'm from a place in Rajasthan, so number 6. Kerala, Bihar, it goes on, and Tripura is having lowest percentage of fraud. So, what is the quantum of this fraud? Business Today said frauds to the tune of rupees 45,000 crores are burning hole in the Indian insurance industry. Now, I didn't read the whole article, but it could be mainly in general insurance, because in life insurance, the possibility of such things is low. Okay, again, it's a general statement. I'm not going into the details. Then what is the literal English meaning of fraud? Collins Dictionary. It says fraud is the crime of gaining money or financial benefits by a trick or by lying. Very generic language. A fraud is something or someone that deceives people in a way that is illegal or dishonest. Now what? Sorry, Association of British Insurers say, UK, they say insurance fraud is when someone invents or exaggerates a claim or doesn't tell the truth in order to obtain cheaper cover, that is higher claim. Okay. I think these things we all know, but I'm just trying to pass through these things. What is the Indian laws is saying? Indian law, Indian Act is saying fraud means and includes any of the following acts committed by a party to a contract, or with his connivance, or by his agents with intent to deceive another party thereto or his agent, or to induce him to enter into the contract. The suggestion is a fact of which is not true by one and does not believe it to be true. What these are the conditions for as per Indian Contract Act. The active concealment of fact by one having knowledge or belief of the fact, a promise made without any intention of performing it. So, fraud is defined in Indian Contract Act. Any other act fitted to deceive. So, deception is one of the things which is very important. Any such act or omission as the law specifically declares to be fraudulent. Insurance fraud is not defined under the Indian Insurance Act. I was surprised when I was researching. In insurance fraud is not defined under Indian Act. So, Contract Act and other related laws are applied for handling fraud by the enforcement agencies. So, to conclude, insurance fraud is any act committed to defraud an insurance process. That this occurs when a claimant attempts to obtain some benefit or advantage they are not entitled to, or when an insurer knowingly denies some benefit that is due. Surprisingly, this definition is there. Okay. Now, so we have broadly seen what is fraud. We all know, since we are working as assistant or assessor or a surveyor, when we go to the site, there's a lot of mismatch and you sense something fishy. So you try identifying or smelling there's a fraud. Okay. So, whenever we go to the site, if everything is okay, we don't suspect or we do not go into deep. But whenever there's something fishy, we try going deeper. Now, what fire policy says on fraud? Okay. Now, fire policy, there are conditions 1, 3, 6, and 8. Okay. Now, what one is saying, this policy shall be voidable in the event of misrepresentation, misdescription, or non-disclosure of any material particular. Now, this is mostly addressing something at the before underwriting of the risk. Okay, not very specific, but we have to keep in mind because these things will have a bearing on our working. I'll go to condition number 3. The most important thing is if the trade or manufacture carried on be altered, or if the nature of occupation of or other circumstances affecting the building insured or containing the insured property be changed in such a way as to increase the risk of loss or damage by insured risk. Not directly. We in subconscious mind, I know.
Senan, sir, slide is not moving.
Slide is not moving. Okay. Yes, is there a word file visible?
No, it is slide number 12, sir. Slide number 12 is available, but okay, it is not moving.
Just one moment.
हाइपरलिंक वर्क नहीं कर रहा सर वो.
हाइपरलिंक आपको अपलोड नहीं हो रहा है, मुझे अपलोड हो गया. One moment. Let me see. Okay. Hyperlink, uploading hyperlink. So I have to.
Sir, members are.
I'm sharing.
1 minute, sir. All the attendees are requested to go through the chat box, wherein I shared the YouTube live streaming link for the facility of members who are not joined over here. Please share the same in various groups, sir. This is a request.
It is now available, Senani, sir.
The file has come on screen. Okay. So I am reading last portion of the condition number 3. First was misrepresentation, misdescription, and non-disclosure of any material particular. This is prior to underwriting the risk, mostly as understood. Then there is a condition number 3. There should not be alteration or increase in trade or occupancy, or there should not be changes which are aggravating the risk. This we do at the time of surveying any fire property insurance loss or even engineering loss. If a motor is there, say 150 kilowatt, and what is offered is say some tampering is done to increase the risk, we do report. So this is a kind of thing which we have to do. Now we come to condition number 6. This is very lethal condition, rarely used. We have to use this condition with abundant caution. But if it is required, let us go back to insurers, tell them this is the scenario, this is the situation, and we have to ask for an declaration from the insured under oath or in other legal form as the truth of the claim. If we suspect and we are unable to prove, we can ask for an affidavit, and that affidavit is used as a deterrent. But again, my request is, please do not use this as a tool to harass the client or to press the client. Okay, we should be very, very careful in triggering this condition. Now I'm going to condition number 8, which is very important. If the claim be in any respect fraudulent, or if any false declaration be made or used in support thereof, or if any fraudulent means or devices are used by the insured or anyone acting on his behalf to obtain any benefit under the policy, or if the loss or damage be occasioned by the willful act or with the connivance of the insured, all benefits under this policy shall be forfeited. So, I mean, there's nothing to remember. There's nothing to mug up. The things are very clear. If there's an element of fraud, we detect and we prove. We have to report it, and not only report, we have to tell insurers that this is what the situation is. Okay. Now, I'll go to MB policy condition. I'll have to go again to the system for a new share. There are some glitches. Okay, I mean, it's not very important. What I will do, I'll tell you a similar condition is there, equivalent to condition number 8. So what is adjuster's role? We just try to understand what is fraud. We try to understand policy. Each policy are having one or more than one conditions or situations to handle fraud. Though we do not, when we read the policy, we may not be in a position to collect these things. But when we carry out survey, and if these are having in the back of our mind, there will be definitely pointers. There will be definitely flashes in our mind that how to handle this situation. So first we will see what is adjuster's role. This is with regard to fraud. Okay, what is adjuster role in general? To inspect. Okay, whenever we inspect something, we don't inspect blindly. We inspect it as a whole, whether the loss which is exhibited or told or shown is in unison with, in cohesion with the situation. Okay, I mean, this inspect word is very, very broad, and we have to use our experience for this all the time. Then examine whatever is said, inspect, and then examine whatever is said is right or not, whether it is having front and back in connection with the loss or not, or with the property. Now, next step is to verify, observe, and identify whether this verification and the statements made are in consonance, coherence with each other. Then authenticity of situation and statements. There may be many things. There may be first witness statement, there may be a neighbor statement, there may be owner statement, there may be a police report, there may be a fire brigade report, there may be a third party report, there may be a newspaper report. So we have to connect all these things. We have to see that there should be a harmony in the statement. There may be, the language may be different, but in some cases you will find there's one pointer which is telling us, no, there's something wrong. Again, a word of caution. Not it doesn't happen in every claim. It depends on our experience, our expertise, our awareness and our alertness to identify all these things, see if these things are matching with whatever is told, inspected, examined, and verified. Next step is collect documents substantiating all facets of the claim. Very important. During first visit itself, it is very important that the most of the documents or many of the documents can be collected, because these are going to help us. The first witness statement, fire brigade report, police report, stock statement, statement of floor manager, statement of engineers. I mean, there are many related. Every industry might be having a different methodology of recording. We have to identify, we have to think very, very broad. We have to understand their process and collect all the documents as far as possible during the first visit.
Sir, is there slide for this also?
The slide is going on now, slide number 14.
No, it's not moving, sir.
Again, it is not moving.
Okay.
It is hold on
It
8.
is held on that 8 point of view of fire this thing. Thereafter it has not moved.
Okay, one moment. 8 point of
वो जो इसका एमबीडी पॉलिसी से पहले जो चल रहा था उसको.
ओके अच्छा अच्छा वो मैंने पैरेलली कर दिया तो गड़बड़ हो.
हाँ जी जी.
नहीं क्या चल रहा है? What is the 8 point? You tell me, please.
Yes sir.
Now slide number 15 we have.
एक मिनट राजेश सर, एक मिनट.
So we haven't yet discussed slide number 14. So I'll start with this slide. Okay.
Yeah. We were discussing about that policy conditions, sir. MBD, and you were discussing at last MBD policy conditions. Prior to that, you were discussing about the fire policy conditions. So 8 point was on the fire condition, fire policy condition. Condition number 8. That was showing 8 last.
So what is the slide number 14? Na?
Now it is the slide number 14 is displaying to us.
And prior to that we were discussing.
Yeah. MB policy नहीं हो पाई sir.
नहीं वो ठीक है. That is condition number 8 and MB policy are similar.
Okay.
वो उसमें दिक्कत हो रही है.
Not an issue. Not an issue.
The idea is to get that every policy is having clauses, conditions related to fraud. Okay. None of the policy will entertain, and every policy will have a clause related to the fraud. Because the contract will be void ab initio if there's a fraud conducted by insured or their representative. That is the whole idea. I'm mugging up these conditions, may not be important, but we need to understand. So I'll start with this adjuster's role. We were midway somewhere here.
We have not started yet, sir.
Okay. So adjuster role. Okay, we'll discuss briefly about adjuster role. This is with regard to surveyor's role identifying the fraud. So we inspect the laws. We have to always inspect the laws with a very, very open mind, neutrally, and there may be some pointers available during incipient inspection. You have to have an eye of a spy. I would not say exactly, but हमारी दृष्टि जो है वो संकुचित नहीं होनी चाहिए. It should not be narrow. We have to see with absolute open mind that yes, whatever I am seeing and whatever is being said is in unison with each other. Then examination. Okay. Say I'm going for a loss where cotton bales are there. I mean, all might not have encountered such situation. Now, cotton is having lots of variety, and there are ranges of, per kg rates are there. There may be a second grade cotton. There may be, short fiber cotton. There may be a top class cotton. There may be a, so we should know, we should examine what is being asked and what is being offered. Is there or not? Now, this means cotton is one example. Well, there may be plenty of examples. Say agri products. Okay, 2-ton capacity air conditioner, but the burnt residue, we have to see what is the compressor size. Maybe 20 pressure sizes which are supporting one ton AC only. Okay, the condenser will be smaller. Okay, and there are two air conditioning. We have to identify. While inspecting, we have to examine parallelly. Next is verifying. Verification should be in consonance, in coherence with whatever is being said, and it is gelling well with situation and the statements. Statements are very important. We have to cross question. We have to interrogate. Again, हमारा कहीं भी उद्देश्य है. We don't have to be I should say, harassing like nahi lagna chahiye. है ना? There should be a clear concept that we are doing it neutrally. Okay, then collecting documents substantiating all the facets of it. Each process, each store, each showroom, or each shop, or any industry will have its peculiar style of working, peculiar pattern of recording. Okay, so the documents are to be collected. There cannot be a very standard set pattern, but in stocks we can generalize. In case of building plant machinery, we can generalize. Okay, in case of furniture fixture fitting, yes, it is parallel to plant and machinery. So each working of each surveyor may be different, but ultimately we close in on irrelevant documents. Next is point out anomalies, collect evidences. Whenever we see there are anomalies, there's a mismatch. Now this mismatch is something which we learn out of our experience, discussing with each other, referring to others, and many times, suppose if I miss something very important, any anomaly, insurers are pointing out, भाई आपने ये point examine किया क्या? नहीं किया. एक बार जाओ यार वापस जा करके क्या हो? So identifying and collecting evidence is very important. So one form of evidence is photography, videography, getting written statement, count, number, volume. These are the evidences which are to be done at in one go. Say I visited a cooler manufacturing unit. The owner said I have 300 coolers which are burnt in fire. Okay. Now there may be certain items which are unburnt, which will remain. I mean, a metal, say an electric motor or a pump, which is made up of metal. We can count the cores, stators, and rotors of the pumps. Okay. So we have to count. Sometimes we have to do volumetric analysis. There may be deviation in variety of, say, if I'm supposed to dealing with rubber parts, and it was found that there are, dynamite is stored there. Although this is very rare, but we can find that there is an increase in risk. Okay, that needs to be identified. We have to collect that with the policy. Quantifying, very important work. This is what ultimately we are doing. We are quantifying, then we are collating with the policy terms and conditions and giving a quantum of loss, which is liability of the insurers. Validate, certify, highlight attainment of liability or otherwise. Because say insured is asking 500 pieces of coolers. Again, here there may be some assembly and finalized items we have to count. Wherever counting is possible, do it by counting. Wherever volumetric analysis to indemnity. Okay, I mean all these things are done with an eye on fraud. Okay, we don't take each and every claim as a fraudulent claim, but this angle needs to be examined whenever we go for survey. And if there are red flags, if there are signals, we need to be alert. We need to examine, go deeper, drill deeper, try connecting the documents, try connecting the statement, try connecting with the physical situation. These are the things which we have to do parallelly when we visit the site or even going before the site. We can read the newspaper. Nowadays, electronic media is saying, I will give you an example. I'm not cite the city's name. It was said that my say 20,000 pieces of ready-made garments are burnt in fire. The newspaper and e-media was showing that there are more than 5,000 pieces of ready-made garments packed under bag were shifted to a nearby unit. This was reported in electronic media, showing the photographs or showing the clip that the material is being taken out and being kept at another place. Now, insured kept on claiming. We produce the evidence. I think you must also be doing. So even before going there, we can do some research work on media, because nowadays the media has become very powerful and important. They reach the site the moment there's an event. Policy requirements, main conditions preventing and checking the frauds. Now it has come here. Misrepresentation, misdescription or non-disclosure of any material particular. Next, increase the risk of loss or damage by insured peril. Insurable interest, change of insurable interest. Okay. Either the owners have sold the business legally, if there's a proper legal, thing is there. If the insurance interest is established or there is a change in insurable interest, that needs to be examined. Condition number 6, again, we can ask for a declaration or an oath, that is an affidavit, as to the truth of the claim, because at times these come to our rescue. Many of the insured, they will not give an affidavit as to the correctness of the claim because they know internally there is a fraud. I have tried it in a couple of claims, and in most of the claims I had to listen to the client. Who are you? Are you a judge asking me for an affidavit? I said condition number 6, okay, but not used many times. I have used it for a couple of times only. Condition number 8 says any kind of fraud. If we see if a false document is given, exaggeration is not a fraud. Okay, there may be an exaggeration, there may be exaggeration in estimation, but mere exaggeration cannot be said as a fault. But presentation of false statements, false documents, false stock statements, false account statement, any other form of, falsification in the claim attracts condition number 8. Again, my request is, please do not use this as a routine matter of extracting information from the insured. Unless we seriously know and think and identify that this thing has happened, we will not trigger condition number 8. Now, occurrence of frauds. How it will happen? What is the time? Okay. At inception of the policy, that is misrepresentation, withholding material fact. Say, let us take example of life insurance. I am having serious kidney trouble, or a person is having serious kidney trouble. He knows that his remaining life is very short. He will give that he will give a declaration that I am healthy and I don't have any disease. Okay, the proposal form, and he gets insurance for say 50 lakhs or a crore of rupees. Okay, now insurance will have some sort of medical up to beyond certain age. Okay, now if somebody is not qualifying that age, is of smaller age, but he is withholding that information, in that case might become or will become a case of fraud. Okay, then this next type is midterm or at the time of fraud can be committed midterm of the policy or at the time of renewal, not declaring something which has happened and loss has happened and we are not identifying or we are not declaring. Then at claim stage. Now, once a claim has occurred or claim is created to have occurred, so that is a deliberate loss. There's no loss, but they will claim, say a burglary. Okay, an attempt was made to break the shutter locks. It was lifted, but suddenly there was a police squad. The thieves have run away. Okay. Now the insured says, "Sir, I had 50 number of gold rings with say diamonds, each costing 1 lakh rupees, are stolen." Okay. So there is no loss, but it is exaggerated or it is said no this. Okay. Highly exaggerated loss. Normally we come across this, and it is our job to identify that the exaggerated losses are trend to realistic level. Okay. Then change of location. Location is changed, but the policy address is different. Okay. We need to identify always. Nowadays, it has become much easier to see the coordinates, and the coordinates are available in registry document also, or these can be taken from land registry department. So change of location is one very important aspect which we are missing at times. One insured might be having 2 or 3 locations. One is insured and 2 others are not insured, and the loss has happened at location number 2 and 3. In that case, it is our job to identify that's the form of fraud, or there may be intentional or unintentional non-declaration of this information. Then their insured items. Say insured items are ready-made garments, and what we see is something different. Okay, it may be tailoring material. So we have to see whether the coverage is ready-made garments and what is being offered is tailoring material, the collar stuff, the cuff stuff, the buttons, and other hardware of the tailoring material. These kind of situations might come. These changes we have to notice. Then insurable interest. We have already discussed. If I am having any insurable interest, this is very fundamental of general insurance. If I am having insurable interest, there may be a tenable or there may be a liability claim. But if my insurable interest is over, say for an example, I am owner of a shop. Okay, while writing a contract, a rental agreement, I have said that it will be my responsibility to for any act of God or for fire or for any peril to operate. Okay. Now, insured, what insured did as a precaution, he got it insured under his name. Okay, as a tenant. But when we see the agreement has clearly taken over the insurable interest by the owners or by the, it may be a vice versa also. So these kind of situations are to be identified. There may be plenty of situations of non-attachment of insurable interest, particularly in marine. Particularly in marine, what happens? Insurable interest at the time of occurrence of loss is very important, and terms of business are important. Say my terms of business say it is CF insurance, okay, or it is FOB insurance, and the loss occurs when the insurable interest is passed on to the buyer from the seller. There we have to see whether insurable interest is attaching or not. This is one very important aspect which we could ignore sometimes. I mean, there are more chances that we ignore this particular point, and hence this needs to be examined. This is again a form of fraud which we are unable to check, or we have not been vigilant enough to check that point, and this is also termed as a form of fraud. Then goods held in trust, etc. Okay. Now the policy might not be having a coverage for goods held in trust. The material is burnt. There is an attempt to claim those material also, because ultimately the insured has to fulfill demand of the person whose materials are lying. Okay, so goods held in trust is an element which needs to be examined. Proper documentation is to be seen, whether when it had arrived, whether it is an old material. I mean, there are plenty of things which are to be seen from insurable interest and goods held in trust point of view. Okay, there may be a no loss situation. There may be a deliberate loss. There may be fraudulent exaggeration. Use of fraudulent means or devices. 3 tests. I mean, we can say make a broad check. The item must be directly related to the claim. Okay, intended by insured to promote his prospect of the suspect. Now, if the policy is exhibiting certain items and the items which are shown are not the same, okay, these are not related to that genre, that particular class of material, they try to cover that item also. Then intended by insured to promote his prospect of suspects. I mean, he's trying to make or exaggerate the claim by including some items which were old discarded. Okay, say old discarded motors are there. Say 20 motors of varying HP are discarded and there is a fire. These were lying in border of the shed. Now insured will try saying, no, sir, these are my motors. Or old cars, okay, where component level repair was attempted and these could not be repaired. The new cards are procured and installed in the machine. The old cards are lying in an old box which was also brought in fire. Okay, so that is improving the prospects. I mean, means or device must not be there. That needs to be seen. Only relevant lies are to be seen. I mean, insured might say so many things, but all the things may not be related to the claim. We need to see whether the lies by the insured, whatever झूठ बोल रहा है तो किस चीज का झूठ बोल रहा है. Okay, we need to see that. Told to deceive and objectively capable of doing so. Whatever he says, he should be capable enough to bear that impact on the claim. Okay, or these things will lead to forfeiture. I mean, this is law related item. मैं बहुत अच्छा नहीं समझा पाऊंगा, लेकिन ये है जो fraud से related है, act related रहता है. Then most important, fraud indicators, red flags. This is not an exhaustive list. Please go on adding your experience and don't keep it to you. Circulate it in the group that besides this, these are the red indicators of red flags we have observed. And some of the insurers are using this terminology. Their investigation department is using this terminology. Recent or proposed change in risk. Okay, the risk is changed, and after 15 days, the loss is reported. Say, I bought a vehicle, the RC is transferred in my name. Beyond 14 days, GR number 17 is not triggering, is not helping, and A to my name. I'll keep the vehicle aside, properly covered. Okay. So we need to see, these are called close proximity claims. Close proximity days are 7 normally. Some say even they take care of 1 month. So this is a situation. Sorry, I thought someone is calling from delegates. Okay, so close proximity claim, we have just touched that aspect because 1 and 2 are connected. Internal guidelines we have already discussed, 7 days to few months. I mean, there are situations when we observe, sir, the loss पुराना लगता है साहब, बिल्कुल नया नहीं है. ये items है, जंग लगा हुआ है, corroded है, and there are webs बनी हुई है. I mean, we should have that eye, we should have that sense of judging that ऐसा कुछ है. Again, we have to be very, very careful. Single बात से अपने को इसको नहीं मान लेना है. Then gaps in insurance history. Okay, the item was uninsured for 3 months. Suddenly there's an insurance, and after 1 month there's a loss. Motor में बहुत होता है. ठीक है, this can happen in other cases also, but fire cases में ये थोड़ा कम होता है. Then change in subject matter prior to claim intimation. Okay, claim intimate हुआ, उससे पहले बोला सर हमने कॉटन की जगह यार्न का ट्रेडिंग करना शुरू कर दिया. Okay, then there's a fire. Okay, I mean just a wild guess I'm sharing with you. Non-disclosure of material fact. This is very important. Okay, there's a crack in the very say huge structure. Okay, and as an engineer, I am telling my boss, sir, this structure is going to fall. They say, okay, insure करा लो, ठीक है. जब fall होगा तब हम इसको देख लेंगे. These kind of situations are happening many times in engineering insurances. Though fraud events in engineering insurance claims are lesser, fire में बहुत ज़्यादा होता है. Particularly quantum, location, insurable interest, changing of items. Then delay in notifying insurers, police authorities. Very important aspect, but we need to keep. Nowadays, IRD has issued a very clear directive that delay in intimation does not entitle insurers to repudiate the claim merely on the basis of delay. Mostly you will find that 7 days, 14 days clauses are there. But a genuine case, we have to see, we have to collect information, we have to collect, we have to correlate with the information, and we have to give a clear and very transparent picture to the insurers. Okay, I'm not saying as an investigator, but as a loss assessor, as a surveyor. Sir, there was a delay in intimation. These are the reasons which are apparently sound. These are the evidences of these things. Okay, intimating police authorities. Now, this also happens rarely. Whenever there is no injury to someone, there is no third-party damage. I mean, insured might not inform. There may be a statutory provision of any loss to property more than 50 rupees or 500 rupees. You need to intimate to the nearest thana. Okay, you go to the police chowki or police thana. What they will say, "Arey, mera number of cases mat badhao, jao." And if you force them, they will issue a CR number. Okay. रोज नाम से हमें दर्ज कर लेंगे. So and so date, so and so time, Mr. Swansis, मामला रसायनी पाया गया, some chemical fire or some electrical short. The high-handedness of police also. Again, why I am saying, I think, am I audible? Because my internet connection is going unstable. Okay.
Still you are audible, sir.
Okay. So delay in notifying insurers and police authorities. These are the two things which we need to correlate, see, and correlate with the site situations. Let's see whether there can be an aging effect on the occurrence. Previous claim history, high frequency of claims. Now, I'll not say anything. There may be an electrical motor, same electrical motor burning 2 times, 3 times, or there may be a fire in a unit twice a year. But we have to be very careful with the history of the claim. Some of our colleagues may be knowing that there's a claimant who is habitual claimant. Okay, we need to be little careful to our claim karna. Okay, then next, people are still joining. Fraud indicates red flag. One moment.
Sir, if you wish,
It's
You
getting
can
loaded.
have a little bit of glass of water, sir.
हाँ श्योर मुझे मुझे 5 मिनट का गैप दीजिए प्लीज
Okay.
है ना मैं इसको यहीं रोक रहा हूँ
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
My throat has become dry.
Yeah, I understand, sir. I understand. Mr. Pramod Yadav, sir, unmute yourself. Take care.
Abhi, Mr. Sainani has taken a break because it was a pretty long session and he will be back within 5 minutes. Till then, I would request our panelists to
Yadav,
be
sir.
on the...
Yadav, sir. Yadav, sir.
Yes.
What I request, sir, meanwhile, there were, we can confirm them that there are lot of chat conversation are with us. We are looking into it, looking into all these chats, and definitely we are going to take those in our that question answer sessions. At the one thing.
I already consulted, sir.
Okay. Okay.
All these things I will provide to our faculty. I already typing and consulted.
At the end of the session, at the end of the deliberation, there will be a question and answer. Those questions which have already been entered in the chat box has been handed over to Mr. Sainani, and he will address those questions and queries after he finishes off this session. So till then, you can keep on putting your queries if you have any on the chat box, and it will be forwarded to him and he will address to it at the end of it.
Yeah. Vishal Gupta ji?
Yes, sir.
Any words from you?
Sir, I am seeing a chat box and the queries I have already read, and one or two I can also answer, but let me...
No. But you just jot down there. It should be forwarded to our faculty, sir, and he will let him answer first, sir.
Yes.
मैं चाहूंगा प्रमोद यादव साहब, अगर आप इस बीच में अगर हमारे पास 1-2 मिनट का टाइम है तो आप इस SLA वर्चुअल टेक ग्रुप के बारे में अगर कुछ कहना चाहें, आप राजेश गुप्ता साहब या राठी साहब.
बैक टू बिजनेस. थैंक यू. आप बड़ा ध्यान रखते हैं शर्मा जी और सभी टीम. मेरा थ्रोट ड्राई हो गया था, मुझे पता ही नहीं चला. I was so engrossed in the subject, and the subject too is dry. Okay, we will go to case studies very soon, and accordingly उसमें थोड़ा अपन अच्छा करने की कोशिश करेंगे. Tempered, altered and falsified documentation, this is very important. आजकल तो GST से हम काफी कुछ चीजें निकाल लेते हैं, but tampering of documents, altering of documents, altering of statements, falsified documentation or statement, we have to keep an eye on these things. Fake documentation in invoices, very prominent fake invoices का case, restatement policies में, false statement of occurrence, significant overstatement. Now this is a very broad say narration. Significant overstatement. Now ये judgment हमारे को लेना है, but we don't have to be very over conscious on these aspects. We need to see if there are more than 1 or 2, 3 pointers which are indicating towards a fraud. We can request insurers for deputation of an investigator. I mean, primary thing we can give, but it should be genuinely it should look like there's a intention of fraud. If we do it habitually and if we do it in routine, insurers will think that ये तो काम नहीं आता है, इसको हर चीज में जो है ना कर लेता है. So many things we have to clear, we have to cut through the maze. हमारे को सारे इन चीजों को देख करके we have to examine and we have to accept, deny or say drill down, drill deeper to find out what is the truth.
சரி, இந்த நிறுவனத்தை பத்தி மேலும் தெரிஞ்சுக்கும்போதுதான் நமக்கு தெரிஞ்ச விஷயம், இந்த நிறுவனம் திருப்பூரை சேர்ந்த ஒரு நிறுவனம் அப்படின்னு நம்ம
circumstances inconsistent. This is one word, not compatible with the damage. I mean, damage तो दिख रहा है, लेकिन mismatch दिख रहा है, जिसको अपन automobile insurance में decoration बोलते हैं. Okay, this can happen in fire also. This can happen in engineering. Okay, a rotor of another motor is fixed in the same frame motor. No, I mean, these instances may be less, but an expert eye will detect these mismatches, try examining from other angles, and
போகும் அப்படின்னு சொல்றாங்க.
Side
பேட்டரிக்கு
whether
8
there may
ஆண்டுகள்
be an
வாரண்டி
intention of
கொடுக்கறதாகவும், இதனால ஒரு
arson,
ஃபாஸ்ட் சார்ஜிங்
willful
கேப்பபிலிட்டி
fire.
இல்லாம
Arson is willful
வீட்டிலேயே
fire.
சார்ஜ்
You find
செய்யக்கூடிய
in that.
கேப்பபிலிட்டி
Arson
மட்டும்தான்
is a willful
கொடுத்திருக்காங்க.
fire
அது
or
மூலமா
loss or
இந்த கார்
damage.
மணிக்கு
Okay,
20
setting the
கிலோமீட்டர்
property on
செல்ல
fire.
முடியும்.
Say,
சரி,
say
இந்த
I take
நிறுவனத்தை எப்ப
example of
தொடங்குனாங்க அப்படின்னு ஆராய்ச்சி
particular
செஞ்சு பார்க்கும்போது
say
ஜனவரி
tobacco leaves.
2020ல தான்
ठीक है,
தொடங்கியிருக்காங்க.
मैंने आपको
இவ்வளவு
बार
சிறிய
tobacco leaves
காலகட்டத்துல
ली है
எப்படி ஒரு
40
காரை
रुपए किलो
மேனுஃபேக்சர்
के
பண்ண
हिसाब से,
முடியும்? இவங்க
and
இந்த
suddenly
வடிவமைப்பு
there's a
டிசைனை
fall in
டைரக்டா
market.
சைனால
There's a
இருந்து
spurt
வாங்கியிருக்காங்க.
of
ஜியா அப்படிங்கிற
production in
நிறுவனம் சைனால எலக்ட்ரிக்
tobacco
கார்ஸை குளோபலா
leaves.
சப்ளை
वो
பண்ற கம்பெனி.
40 रुपए से गिर
அவங்கள்ட்ட
करके
இருந்து இந்த
20 रुपए
காரோட
है।
லைசன்ஸை
ओके,
வாங்கியிருக்காங்க
या
இந்த
मेरे
நியூ
टोबैको
எனர்जी
के
அப்படிங்கிற
लीफ में कोई
நிறுவனம்.
कीड़ा
இதன்
लग गया
மூலியமா
या कोई
இவ்வளவு
फंगस
குறைந்த
लग गया,
காலகட்டத்துல இந்த
so the
காரை இவங்களால
value
சப்ளை
has
செய்ய
fallen.
முடியுது.
Now
அது
to
மட்டும்
cover
இல்லாம
that
இந்த
business
நிறுவனத்தோட
loss, I
பிரான்ச்சைசியை
set my
ஆட்டோமொபைல்
property or
இண்டஸ்ட்ரியில
I set
அனுபவம்
my
இல்லாதவங்களுக்கு
stock
கூட
on
தரப்போறதா
fire.
இந்த
That is
நிறுவனத்துல
a
இருந்து
willful fire.
சொல்லியிருக்காங்க.
That is
இந்த
not
எலக்ட்ரிக்
subjective
காரோட
and
விலை
that will be
7
treated
லட்சம்
as
ரூபாய்
fraud.
ஆஃபரோடு இருக்கும்
And
அப்படின்னு
if we
நிறுவனத்தோட
not,
தலைவர்
if we are
சொல்றாங்க.
not in a position to identify it accurately, please request insurers, because ultimately, as a surveyor, I have got limitations in investigation. There are expert agencies to do it. Then practical aspects of investigation of fraudulent issues. What are the circumstances of occurrence of fraud? Whether the insured is having bad financial situation, they are in heavy debt. We have to see, I mean, similar situations. Okay, the trade is now the industry or trade is now defunct or obsolete, or they have gone, I mean, it is out of market. The product is not preferred. Say example of pagers. Okay, a pager manufacturing unit, when the mobiles came, suddenly the pagers died an unnatural death. Now a pager manufacturing unit, there is a fire. You have to see whether there was a genuine situation of that kind of I mean fire or not. In that case, then there are indicators. Okay, these are the practical aspects, and there are types of fraud which we'll take in the next slide. Now, there's one situation which I want to point out. This is something related to law. Okay, say while carrying out survey, we accept something. Okay, there may be an acceptance, a genuine acceptance of the thing. I may make an error, so I may my judgment may not be right. Okay, then for condition number 1368, there's a legal provision of estoppel or reservation of rights. Now this is picked up from British market. Okay, this is not a situation in Indian law, but Indian law also says estoppel or reservation of rights. I might say I am going without prejudice, but I have reservation on so and so items, so I am not waiving my right of investigation. Okay, unless I submit my report to insurers, insurers might say no, carry out an investigation. They have a right, and there's a provision. But if I say clearly accept everything, okay, that is the reason we have to write in our report that we are doing this without prejudice. All correspondence, my request is all email correspondence should have a signature. We should clearly say any documents given to us are without prejudice. That does, we are at this stage, we are not in a position to accept or deny any document. So we do it without prejudice. Then in engineering policies, it is wider perspective. Hyperlink B is not working, but again, condition number 8, similar to condition number 8 is there. Again, we have to see, we have to read condition number 1368 in fire policy very carefully. Try understanding, try seeing casually. I am not saying that every fire claim is a fraud, but the instances of frauds are growing. Insurers have become very particular. There are plenty of forensic agencies, two types. I mean, as to the cause of loss and accounts forensic agency, they are charging heavily to the insurers, but in some of the cases they are genuinely fire or fire examine in detail. I'll give you an example. One of our friend surveyor from Delhi came, I'm talking of 89. There was a full truckload of ready-made garments. Okay, I inspected. I was young. I was new. So he, along with me, during
Recording in progress.
On time, because more even in seconds. I have seen some of the fires or some of the equipments damaged. There's a log even in microseconds. Okay, so if we thoroughly examine these things, be in a position